Hey Bulldogs, Chris Bryant, the Computer Certification Bulldog here, and in today's CCNP Route Video Bootcamp, we're going to talk about, and much more importantly, see in action on live Cisco routers an OSPF total stub area. Now this video is a follow-up to one I recently did about OSPF stub areas. And I'm going to show you that I've still got that network up and running. I'll show you the diagram in a moment. We'll check out the routing tables, and we're going to build on what we did in that previous video. So it's not necessary for you to have seen the previous one to get something out of this one. The reason I'm really mentioning it though is that out on the site that's hosting our on-demand videos now, udemy.com, udemy.com, no charge for the jingle. Out on that site, what I'm going to do is put all of this into one longer video. It's going to be totally free. We're going to have route redistribution in there with OSPF. We're going to have stub areas and total stub areas. I'll put a link to that really everywhere on the blog, Twitter, on the YouTube channel, everywhere else. So make sure to check that out. That's on udemy.com. And here is the network that we were working with and that we're going to work with in this video as well. What we had done is built an OSPF network with routers 1, 2, 3, and 4, and you can see the areas for yourself. The main point in the last video was that router 1 was performing two-way route redistribution. And you can see where router 5 in the RIP domain had some loopback networks that we were using. So router 4 could ping all of those networks up on router 5, but router 4 had a pretty big routing table at that point for this size network. It had 10 entries. And the key was that no matter where router 4 wanted to send data, the next hop was always going to be router 3. So in that situation, you know there's something that we're going to be able to do whether we're using OSPF or not. There's got to be some tool available to us to knock that table down a little bit. Well, since we're using OSPF in this scenario, what we were able to do is configure area 34 as a stub area, and I want to reiterate that that configuration is still in place. So we look at router 4's routing table at this point, and it still has those IA areas that it had before, but instead of an individual entry for each network that was learned by OSPF through route redistribution, it's got a default route for those. So we were able to knock the routing table in half just by making this a stub area. But we also see that this routing table is practically yelling at us to do something else, because no matter whether we're sending data to network 1, 2, 3, or 172.12.123.0, the next hop is still always 34.3. Now, of course, with you after your CCNP now, and for you CCNA candidates watching this, I'm glad you are watching it, it's not enough just to know what the command is. You know, we might get some questions like that in the NA, but when you're going after your NP and beyond that, you've got to be able to say, here is the router or routers where this command would be necessary. So in the previous video, when we configured a stub area, we simply went to routers 3 and 4, and under the OSPF config, we put area 34 stub. And again, let me just show you that that configuration is still there. And it is area 34 stub, and we've got that on router 4 as well. Now, I'd like you to know, or tell me, what the command is to make this a total stub area, and on what router or routers does the command have to go. Because it might be easy to look at that network again. Let me bring that back up. You could look at this too and say, well, okay, this is where the route redistribution is happening on router 1, so we could make that a stub area or a total stub. And I know you know the deal there, but just to verify, if you try to make area 0 a stub or a total stub, you're going to get that message. Backbone cannot be configured as a stub area. A very good rule to remember for your exam as well, because the exam questions are probably not going to be that kind. Now, we know that we need to put this command somewhere on area 34. And the only place we have to put it is on router 3. We don't have to put it on router 4, and we're not going to lose our adjacency, because the area, both routers are still going to see the area as a stub. But router 3 is going to be saying not only is it a stub, it's a total stub. And let's take a look at exactly how to configure that, what our options are, if we have any. There's the basic command, area 34, and we've got some options here, most of which we're very familiar with by this point. We're going to put stub here. And then, if you're making it a total stub area, you use the no summary option at this point. And you're not going to see the adjacency go down, because again, both sides still agree that this is a stub area. But let's go down to router 4 now and check out that routing table. Wow, isn't that amazing? That's the only route it has now between making it first a stub and then a total stub. We knocked this routing table down from 10 entries to 1. But of course, we better ping those remote networks and make sure we've got that connectivity, and so far we do. Let's ping them all. Ping them all, I say. And we'll just do 1 here on .1 on the frame network, and we're good. And as a matter of fact, we'll go ahead and ping one of the networks that's up on router 5, and we're good as gold. So we still have all our connectivity, but again, we were able to knock our routing table down from 10 routes to 1 by making this a total stub area. And that is it for this particular lab. Again, please join me out at udemy.com. I'll make sure to put the link on Twitter, YouTube, blog, Facebook, the website, everywhere I talk. And make sure you see exactly where that free class is. But what we'll do is actually do that entire lab from scratch. We'll do all the route redistribution. We'll review some important concepts there. We'll move on to stub routing and then total stub areas with OSPF. Thanks again for watching today's video. I'm Chris Bryant, the Computer Certification Bulldog.